Hey, Brett. I want to take you back to the
What's
West.
going
I'm
on,
going
Ethan?
frozen planet here. We're just moving you to different worlds, Antarctic to Arctic. And
Yeah.
the Lakers, you wrote something about Mr. Kobe Bryant that wasn't entirely, it wasn't entirely nice. It wasn't necessarily reveling in how amazing he makes the Lakers. Explain yourself. That's not an opinion you should have. What the hell?
I just, I watched him play, and I'm a big believer that synergy and flow happens in all successful offenses. There's a hierarchy of what's going to happen. And when Kobe Bryant is back with the Lakers, it's kind of like they just have to figure out a way to get everybody the ball instead of figuring out a way for them to be most efficient and effective. And so when he was out, it was very clear. Everything ran through Bynum and Gasol in the post. They played high-low. They spread the court around him with the other three perimeter players. And then if things got tough with a shot clock situation or an early drag screen and transition, Sessions would run that ball screen. And it was simple. And I think because it defined roles, and Van Gundy, I think during one of the weekend telecasts talked about that. You talk about role definition. When you have role definition, guys can do their job and they know what to expect. And when Kobe's in the game, he's a terrific individual player. He carried that team, especially for the early part of the year, and kept them competitive while they were still trying to figure things out. But at the same token, he can hijack an offense and he can ruin flow and synergy on a team. And I think that is maybe what we saw when their offensive numbers were a little bit better. And the other thing, too, is that Andrew Bynum has been really good. And I know you're a huge fan of him. We've talked about this. He's been really good for them. And Sessions has given them a guard that in Kobe's absence can create. And they didn't have that before. And I think that's part of why, on the surface over that small stretch, they looked a little bit better.
Well, transitioning from them to a team that I think is a little bit better, you diagrammed, I think it was a few weeks ago, the perfect Oklahoma City Thunder play. And what I'm wondering is, Scott Brooks has come under a lot of fire. Most recently with that overtime game where it seemed as though, as Bomani Jones called it, they were running the Bel Air Academy offense with either Westbrook or Durant, depending on who had the ball. Do you think that these accusations are fair? Do you think that he's a bad X's and O's coach, or do you think that this is too much negativity there?
Honestly, you never really know. It's so hard to speculate on those things without actually being in the huddle, being at practice, seeing what they're trying to do. I hate to say it, but the majority of those guys in the league, they're way smarter than all of us. And they do things for a reason, and sometimes things just go bad. You never know what play was called. You never know what Brooks diagrammed. But I do think that a lot of coaches do sometimes fall into the trap of seeing that there is it's an easy way to just give the guy a ball or give the guy the ball, clear him out, and let him go score. It's a lot harder to constantly have to call a 20-second timeout, get guys in, think of a great play, diagram it, get guys to run it right, get the ball in the right spot every single time. That's hard to do, whether you're a genius or not. And you just don't know. I mean, you don't know where their preparation has been at recently. You don't know if he's been spending his very valuable practice time trying to work on defensive rotations, trying to work on maybe just, scouting a potential playoff opponent. And so it's really, really hard to say one way or another that he's not. I know everybody's real results oriented, but, he's showing glimpses that he's gotten it. But maybe it's just he does have a bad habit. We all have flaws. We all have leaks. That's a poker term, but we all have something that we fall back on that just isn't the perfect thing in the in the right situation. So maybe that's his thing. Maybe he relies too much on isolation. Maybe he spends too much time prepping something out in his walkthroughs and his practices, and just says, what? Because we do that, I just have to say, Kevin, take the ball at the left elbow and go to work.
Hey, Brett, real quick. The Clippers Memphis series completely fascinates me just for the Tony Allen, Chris Paul line. But the Clippers have really improved their defensive numbers, throughout the second half of this season. Are they starting to get it, or is it just like the second team is so good defensively that it kind of skews the numbers? What's your take on how they play defense, at least recently?
That's tough. That's a good question. I think definitely a smarter guy to ask on that one would be Kevin, because he follows him, and I mean Kevin is so sharp with the X's and O's stuff. But I think part of it is you're right. I think the second unit has just been better defensively for him. And the other thing too is I'm a big fan, not a big fan, but I really do like DeAndre Jordan. I think he's been a little bit sharper in his rotations. He's been a little bit more aware off the ball. And when you got a 7-footer that can kind of police the back line of the defense, it's going to help you overall. You don't need great guys, guys to be great on the ball as much. You can kind of funnel plays over to them. And I think that's part of it too. It's all just little things normally. But I think the main part is like you said, you get better defenders in there. It's like when we were talking about the Bulls, I think last time I was on, and we talked about Lucas and Watson replacing Rose, and then the shooting numbers are better. Well, they're better shooters. I think so. You hit it a little bit on the head right there. You put better defenders in, you're probably going to get better results.
All right, Brett. Well, thanks for your analysis here. Hopefully, you gonna drop some stuff on HoopSpeak this during the playoffs.
Absolutely, man. You said former contributor to HoopSpeak. I just wrote for you like 2 weeks ago. I'm still around, man. But yeah, definitely gonna be trying it. We actually, I'll plug it here. I'm bringing in a new guy at Playbook. He's the director of basketball ops from Jacksonville, which is a D1 school. He's emailed back and forth with me. I really like where his hoops acumen is at. So he'll be helping me out on Playbook, which should maybe free me up to actually try to do some real writing over on HoopSpeak. But I'm just looking forward to all to get started. I'm really excited for the playoffs. I bet you guys are too.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. You can follow Brett B Koremenos at HoopSpeak. At B Koremenos on Twitter. Sorry, still a little groggy from the liquid painkillers
one of those
last
days,
night.
Beckley.
Yeah, no kidding. Days. All right, thanks a lot, Brett. We'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys.
And just to be clear, that is not a euphemism for alcohol. It was a prescribed painkiller. I have a
you're being
bad
literal.
hit from yeah.
It was self-medicating.
I was self-medicating, though, and this is a lesson. Do not do that.